Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, a new restaurant holds their grand opening, and their approach to food may just be the future of dining. And this year, Fire Service Day is scaled back but still impresses Torrance residents. Plus, a retired teacher explains how she continues to inspire students. Then they'll get your goat. These city employees are back with their strong work ethic and big appetite. These stories and much more are just seconds away. Your local news starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chun. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. Toyota Motor Sales here in Torrance announced it will conduct a voluntary safety recall on 52,000 Prius vehicles. The 2001 through 2003 cars sold in the U.S. need their electric steering parts replaced. If the steering wheel is repeatedly and strongly turned, nuts in the steering box may become loose. Over time, drivers may gradually notice increased steering effort when making a left turn. Toyota dealers will install improved parts at no charge. The repair will take about 4 hours. Owners will receive official notification letters in early July. Speaking of cars, the auto industry slowed down its revenue stream last month. Consumers seem to be paralyzed by a perfect economic storm, including rising car prices, auto inventory shortages, and a spike in gas prices. Most potential car buyers sat back and tried to decide if the short term was really the time to purchase a new car or if they should simply wait and see what happens. But there was one industry bright spot. Volkswagen looked to be an exception to the May slowdown, reporting their sales rose 28%. The hot sellers at VW as well as GM and Ford were smaller, fuel-efficient vehicles, a trend that has dominated the industry so far this year. Despite the tragedies in Japan that happened months ago, the people of Japan are still on everyone's minds here in Torrance. They may have been open for business, but this wasn't just another day at Infinity Salon. The salon and spa beautified customers for a good cause. Recently, Infinity held a hands-on Japan cut-a-thon at their salon to benefit victims of the earthquake and tsunami. For a $25 donation, customers received a free haircut. Infinity Salon donated their proceeds to the Red Cross. One group not in need of monetary assistance is the airline industry. Most people were outraged when major airlines added all sorts of fees. Well, those additional charges for food, pillows, and luggage have paid off. In 2008, the world's largest airlines collected more than $21 billion in passenger fees. When fuel prices hit record high levels in 2008, many airlines began to adopt the extra charges to offset those costs. But don't expect to see these fees disappear into thin air. The industry has continued to add fees during the recession, and now they rely heavily on the revenue. For some airlines, these fees now represent up to 30% of all revenue. Volunteers who dedicated countless hours of service took some time to receive awards from a senior organization. Reporter Vanessa Linares has more.
RSVP is a nonprofit agency that places senior volunteers in over 95 South Bay nonprofit programs. It's an opportunity for seniors who still want to be active in their communities. Each year, the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program honors seniors for their contributions. And this year, Victor and Sherry Clark, Ruth Dobbins, and Jenny Fox are recognized for their invaluable volunteer work in the South Bay. Victor and Sherry Clark have dedicated the past 7 years to volunteering, first for the Redondo Beach Police Department and later the Lomita Police Department. They most enjoy the Explorers program, training kids to become future deputies.
As a senior, you need to get out there and put yourself out with the public.
For the past 16 years, Ruth Dobbins has been a part of RSVP, volunteering at Camp Alpine in Lake Arrowhead, the James Armstrong Theater, and the Redondo Beach Civic Light Opera. She also found satisfaction working at the Alpine Attic Thrift Store.
Well, I think my involvement with the thrift store has been most fulfilling.
Jenny Fox began her volunteer work in 2000 after retiring from the Los Angeles Air Force Base. She volunteers at the police department, assisting in policing and crime analysis. Some of her duties include going on patrol, writing citations, and assisting in DUI checkpoints. Jenny has given close to 6,000 hours of her time. I'm Vanessa Linares, reporting for This Week in Torrance.
If you'd like to learn more about the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, go to rsvpsb.org. Coming up, we'll tell you how this year's Sister City Exchange is different from years past, and we'll bring you a new Torrance restaurant that gives you a glimpse of the future. That's after the break.
When I grow up, I want to be a psychologist or a therapist.
I want to be a pediatrician.
I was hoping to become a chef someday.
I want to own a big house with the convertible and the jacuzzi and the pool, all the good stuff.
Role models, they don't tell you what to do, but they help you to go where you're going.
I want to study law. I don't want to become a lawyer. I want to become a CIA agent.
Young people, I think, do need a mentor because, we don't know everything. And, all the people, they've experienced stuff that we haven't.
I would like to be a baseball player.
As long as there's somebody behind you, pushing you and supporting you, then you feel that you always have the strength to keep going.
Well, I would like to become like a doctor. That's my first choice.
Sometimes you feel down and you feel that no one really understands and no one knows like where you're coming from. And it's great to see someone who's been where you are now and making it.
Each of our children has hopes and dreams for their future. Help them get there. Become a mentor.
Technology is changing the way we shop, listen to music, and play games, and now it could be changing the way we dine out. Reporter Shantae Passmore has a story.
There's a new restaurant in town that's creating a lot of buzz, and it's not just because it's new, but because it took something familiar and rebuilt it from the ground up. Welcome to Stacked Restaurant.
It's letting people be creative and get exactly what they want, as opposed to getting what it is that we want them to have. So they can be really creative and really build great food.
Building your food isn't an entirely new concept when dining at a restaurant. Here, guests have the option of ordering signature dishes created by the restaurant, or they can create their own masterpieces. At Stacked, it's how you build your food that makes it stand out from the other restaurants at Del Amo Fashion Center, and perhaps anywhere for that matter.
The first thing that you're going to do whenever you walk up to our table is you're going to swipe your credit card to authorize it. We've just done that previously. But then once you do that, you can select from any of our menu categories.
Guests are encouraged to use the iPad tablets at their table to do almost anything, including ordering drinks, customizing their food order, splitting checks, and even paying the bill.
The servers can focus 100% of the time on making sure the guests are happy. They deliver the food, they deliver drinks and refills, and then they just make sure that the guests are well taken care of, whatever we can do to make their experience better.
At Stacked, innovation doesn't stop short with technological devices. It's managed to somehow create a following through the use of social media. If you look on their Facebook page, you'll see countless feeds asking when their restaurant is going to open. And when they finally did, it was quite a scene.
It's great. It speeds up the service. It's actually fun to do this.
The dining experience at Stacked isn't like any other restaurant. And the reason being is because diners have full control in creating the type of experience they want. They can either order off this paper menu, which is more traditional, or they can order off the iPad. And this begs the question, will this be a new trend for most future dining experiences?
I think it will, because I was talking with someone around here and they said they're going to have an app. So everyone loves apps and they'll want to show off to their friends, like, look what I can do on my iPad. So I definitely think this will be a trend.
I think it's going to be a great success, and I think 5, 10, 15 years from now, everything's going to be like that, all electronic, just push buttons, and if you don't know how to use computers, you're going to be starving to death.
And we can't let that happen.
No, if someone's uncomfortable with the iPad, then the server will be glad to take the order for them. And if eventually they become comfortable with the iPad, that's great. But we'll do whatever level of service makes the guests feel comfortable.
You don't have to be tech savvy to enjoy dining at Stacked. All you need to have is a hearty appetite and stack away. I'm Shantae Passmore reporting for This Week in Torrance.
And for more information on the newest dining option at Del Amo Fashion Center, go to stacked.com. The Torrance Sister City Association is doing their part for the victims of the Japanese earthquake and tsunami, and they're sacrificing their own program to continue their help. Reporter Vanessa Linares explains.
In past years, Torrance has enjoyed an educational exchange with our sister city, but this year Torrance will not be sending students to Japan. Instead, the TSCA will only host 8 students from Kashiwa in August. The annual Bungasai proceeds will be for those students coming from Japan and the earthquake tsunami relief.
We've partnered with the City of Kashiwa to help their Citizens Fund that will help the people who have sought refuge in Kashiwa. There's a lot of people without shelter, without homes that are trying to get started all over again. And this fund is helping all of those families and individuals.
Bunkasai is a 2-day festival that has something for everyone to participate in. Some of the activities include origami, crafts, flower arrangements, Japanese food, music, judo, and special games for kids.
I think it's really great. I'm really glad that all these people came out. I had no idea until this morning when we were setting up how big this is going to be, and it was really fun, and I'm really glad that all these people came out to support us.
Through this event, more than $3,000 was raised for the Kashiwa Exchange students and others in need. I'm Vanessa Leonatis, reporting for This Week in Torrance.
And later in the show, we'll tell you how eating out next week can also help the victims in Japan. First impressions are everything, and while budget cuts may have downscaled the city's annual Fire Service Day, firefighters were as determined as ever to leave an impression on Torrance kids. Channel 3's Jacqueline Shepard explains.
Have you ever wished you could climb aboard a fire truck and try out all the bells and whistles? That's exactly what parents and kids did at this year's open house.
But that is so dangerous!
With the fire department responding to nearly 70 calls a day, the recent open house gave the community a chance to get a behind-the-scenes look at being a first responder.
So to be able to see them close up and see some of the firemen and talk to them, we really appreciate that, and the community, the fire department putting that on.
Most were a little too small to slide down the fire pole, but these kids were eager to gain as much hands-on experience as possible.
Chance for the public to come in and meet the firefighters, and especially for the kids to come in, because they like to see all the equipment and run around the fire station, and we have a good time with the kids.
Some have been waiting all year to hop in the driver's seat.
We went to Wilson Park last year for the demo, the first time to the station.
To become a Torrance firefighter, you must be at least 18 years old, a graduate of a state-recognized fire academy, and have a current EMT certificate. And after a day like today, some of these kids are well on their way.
And most of us, when we were interested when we were kids, we came to the fire stations to visit, and this was our first exposure. So we want the public to bring families to bring their kids in and give them exposure to the fire service, show them what it's all about.
For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Jacqueline Shepard.
The fire department's open house is held every year on the second Saturday in May. For more information, log on to torranceca.gov/TFD. With summer almost here, there's a popular way to get fit. Instead of having a 3-course lunch, you can Zumba during your lunch break. Reporter Shante Passmore has this story.
The whole attitude is about bringing fitness to a party. Instead of it being something that's punitive, that exercise is fun and it's rewarding.
And B. Smith would know. She's a Zumba instructor at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. And she says, don't confuse this trend with a dance class. There's no counting involved. Instead, the body movements revolve around Spanish words that indicate a certain dance movement within the song. Most songs have breaks in between verses in the chorus. So, if B. Smith tells you to belly dance, then you'll know what to do.
I do a brief kind of intro to each song, and I tell them it's going to repeat. If you don't get it, keep marching in place. Your brain's eventually going to recognize it because you're going to recognize the music.
But what about if you're too self-conscious to try the class?
And I always tell anybody that's new to any kind of fitness, people are so self-absorbed, they're looking at them, they're not looking at you because everybody feels that same inhibition.
And I heard on TV that Zumba was the exercise for me, and I didn't know how to dance, but I decided to try it anyway. So it wasn't hard at all to pick up, and it was a lot of fun. It's like going to a party, and dancing.
Zumba can burn anywhere from 600 to 1,000 calories in one 1-hour class, especially if you take a class similar to the one offered at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. This night class knows this is their last meeting for the spring semester, so they're giving it all they have. Fitness goers almost dance the hour away with breaks just long enough for a little water and some cool air. The class is so popular that the center added it to their summer catalog, and even their noontime fitness series for those who are looking for a workout during their lunch break.
And it encapsulates the idea that fitness is fun, that it's not, and for lack of a better example, you're not a loser, you're a winner, you know, and weight loss is not about being a loser, it's about doing something productive for yourself. Zumba doesn't measure you, it doesn't critique you, it doesn't have any of those stigmas that people come into that maybe in a class they think that, you know, oh gosh, I don't want them to look at me because I'm overweight or I'm older or whatever. You get in there, the music starts cranking, everybody's body starts pumping, and you just start busting it out.
This Zumba class may be the best kept secret in town until now. Maria Prince has recommended the summer class to her girlfriends, but she doesn't want it to fill up.
I want to make sure I get in. But no, they're looking. I have a few that are going to sign up, so they're looking forward to it.
And with this much fun and fitness, it's very easy to see why. I'm Shantae Passmore reporting for This Week in Torrance.
And for summer registration, go to the city's website at torranceca.gov. Most of us have a teacher who's made an impact on our lives, and for some alumni of Anza Elementary, Dean Schrank is that teacher. Reporter Jennifer Wade has this story.
Whereas teaching would be and still satisfy the need for the drama and the acting and a captive audience, not knowing really, though, the depth that you reach when you do teach little children.
Schrank dedicated her life to teaching 54 years ago after studying drama in college. She was looking for a career that was more stable than acting. Little did she know how many children she would go on to impact.
What's the beginning sound?
Family.
Family.
Playground.
Almost. Picnic.
If they've had Mrs. Schrank, they have manners. Just as much as she teaches them how to read and do math, she teaches them please and thank you.
We have a teacher here that has worked at Anza for 53 years. That is an absolute accomplishment.
A surprise ceremony was held at the school's ice cream social to honor the retirement of the longest working teacher in Torrance Unified. Schrank received an honorary plaque and tree, flowers, and plenty of hugs from past students.
When I had her as a teacher, she taught me how to read, and that's something I'll never forget. That time, I needed a little help on my English, and every time for reading and writing time, she will sit next to me and help me on my work.
That is the favorite part, the return that you get for giving.
I get calls from people who had her, from families who had her, from students graduating from high school, people that come on campus, they come back and ask, is Mrs. Schrank still here? And when I say she's down in room 3, a big smile comes on people's faces and can't wait to see her.
Schrank taught 3rd graders and kindergarteners and is now volunteering in the intervention setting, which provides extra help for children who are struggling.
Hopefully, yes. I would like to continue next year, as of September, going back into an intervention type of situation and expand.
In her 53 years of teaching, Ms. Schrank taught over 1,500 children, including 3 generations of students. This is Jennifer Wade for CitiCABLE.
Even though she's retired, Schrank continues to be a big part of Anza Elementary, serving as a school volunteer. Coming up after the break, we'll show you how some unusual city employees get the job done.
Making the world a better place is an intricate puzzle. And piece by piece, the women and men of Rotary have worked hard to fight hunger. promote literacy and to move the world toward peace. But there is still much to be done, still some missing pieces. And one of those missing pieces is you. Learn how you can help Rotary put together a better world at Rotary.org. Rotary, humanity in motion.
The Torrance Sister City Association has a lineup of restaurants that are participating in Restaurant Wednesday. Come out for lunch or dinner on Wednesday, June 8th at El Torito on Hawthorne Boulevard, and the Mexican restaurant will give 25% of their food sales to the Kashiwa Japan Relief Fund. In order for your donation to be made, you must present a special flyer to the waitstaff. Now, to learn more and to find donation flyers, go to torrancesistercity.org. Restaurant Wednesday continues through the end of June. Las Conchas Hills could be considered a restaurant of sorts for goats. Reporter Jacqueline Shepard explains.
Each year, the city does its part to prevent brush fires by clearing brush away from 7 sites around Torrance.
The fire department here in Torrance, because this total property up here is about 8 acres, and if it catches on fire, by the time they got here, probably half of it be gone.
So to help them clear the brush, the city called on some old friends.
They'll eat and sleep, and then they'll wake up and eat some more and just have a great day.
These goats take their job very seriously. Yesterday, this empty plot was a green hillside, and unlike humans, there is no plant they can't devour.
We found out working with the firefighters that poison ivy is one of their worst nemesis. When it burns, it lets off a toxic fume. Goats enjoy it and doesn't bother them a bit at all.
Torrance is always looking for new ways to go green, and with no lunch breaks, no workman's comp, and no fossil fuel emissions, these goats are the perfect choice.
Found out that it was cost effective, it's environmentally friendly, we don't have dump fees to haul all it away.
Goats, they work for free, and we've never had a goat file a disability claim on us. So.
In addition to doing a great job, these goats are a big hit with Torrance residents.
So they sit out there and they stick, grass through the fence for the goats, and they just love it. They take pictures, and some of the city kids have probably never seen a goat before in their life, so they get a lot of good feedback.
And when climbing hillsides becomes too much, the team makes sure their goats have an enjoyable retirement.
We have a lot of families who want to take in a goat, so they don't go and we don't dispose of them in a harsh way. We make sure that they have a peaceful life after.
For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Jacqueline Shepard.
And the goats of Torrance will be here through the middle of June. And that's going to do it for us on This Week in Torrance. I'm Jin Chun. If you've missed any portion of our show, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.